So I want to talk about the fact that some things are just the norm now, it seems, and this is a story about San Francisco, which I was talking to Carl and Harry just before we did a podcast.
This is a story.
And I was telling them what I was going to write something about, and they would start boomering off about how San Francisco used to be a place of magic and somewhere people wanted to move to.
Oh, you mean Harry Miller?
Yeah.
Okay, because I don't remember this conversation.
And they were listening about how it was great. And honestly, sitting there, I can appreciate that maybe the past existed, but I cannot picture a world in which San Francisco sounds good because all I know is Poop Street. It's Poop City.
I would rather live in San Fierro from San Andreas.
Yeah, that'd be pretty good.
At least I could go and learn karate in what, like 3 lessons?
I'm going to start reminiscing about San Andreas if we go down that route.
It's a good game.
Yeah,
it's a good game.
It really is. Shame. Anyway, but just to promote something on lotus.com real quick, I'm going to do the Cyberpunk Dystopia, in which we went over the fact that there's that short story.
A horrifying thumbnail.
Yeah, of I have no mouth, but I must scream. And if you're in San Francisco, I suppose you have a nose and you must breathe. It's very sad. So there is a tweet I saw that inspired all of this, which is this man here listing that there was a poop map once upon a time, and the map still exists.
That is a flood.
Yeah.
The people in San Francisco are drowning in feces.
As he lists, apparently the project was cancelled after 11 days because people started listing how much poop there was in public from humans, and it's too much. It's too much to even map because you just end up with the whole street turning brown.
You end up with the poop blob.
Yeah, it's not fun.
Good God.
And
imagine the smell.
I looked at this tweet and I thought, haha, yeah, I remember talking about that during the pandemic. Haha, that problem was weird.
No, it's not gone away.
The problem that they had that, but no. So we'll get to the next link because this is the map in question. There is just a link, you can go find it. I don't know if you can scroll down on this because it's got like a new layout, but just look at that for a minute. I know it doesn't map the whole United States, but God, that is funny.
It's actually a toxic wasteland.
75,000 incidences in San Francisco and 0 anywhere else.
But I can only imagine, you know, when you walk down a street where there's pigeons that have crapped everywhere, and you have to like walk around it and try and dip and dodge through it. That's what it's like walking through San Francisco.
Or you just sort of give up because it's everywhere and you end up walking through the sludge. That's what I imagine. Look at it. Look at this. Ridiculous.
Don't people walk around in San Francisco wearing sandals?
Jesus. I can't imagine it. So this is the up-to-date map. And as John's just scrolling around here, imagine living here in which every street you walk down, there's at least 6 human feces piles.
If you're walking down the street, you cross the street to miss one and then you have to cross back. You've zigzagged through the place.
I mean, look, unless you're literally living in India, I don't know if anyone lives like this. This is just awful.
I think these guys need that same campaign that they gave to India.
We'll come back to that.
Okay.
Because I've got that recommendation.
Oh, good.
Now, this is the up-to-date map, as I mentioned. And oh, good Lord, is it bad? But this is... I didn't really take into the fact, when we covered it last time, how long of a problem this has been going on. And the growth of the problem of human turds in public.
Did you just say how log of a problem?
I didn't mean to. There we are.
Freudian slip.
We'll go to the next link here, because this is an article from 2014, and it's tongue-in-cheek. So you can see, like, oh, this guy has made a poop map about San Francisco, and the whole thing is about, like, ha, this guy, you know, he had a thing at his company, because he's tech place, right? Where they gave everyone a quirky idea of, come up with a really quirky program, and whoever wins with the most quirky one will give you a prize. So he made a poop map. Oh, how funny is that? And he went on to win his award.
Yep.
And the whole article is, of course, based on like, oh, yeah, it is. That's become a bit of a problem, hasn't it? But it'll be cleaned up. Anyway.
I feel so bad for the public workers in San Francisco because this must be like 80% of their job.
Yeah. I mean, they're writing it here. I'm just going to read a little bit. San Francisco is a weird magnet for poop. Travel around in the grimmest of...
That's an amazing way to start an article.
Travel around the city in the grimmest of Easter egg hunts. And you'll find turds basking on the sidewalk, chilling in the flower gardens, gumming up the subway escalators. Hell, you even find them littering on the roof of 3-story buildings with no roof access.
But enough about the hippies.
They write here, I assumed upon moving to this place that it was irresponsible dog owners. I wish I could still believe that.
Oh, God.
So there we are. We'll go to his map, of course, just to demonstrate that, you know, it was a quirky idea back in 2014, a whole, what was that, 7 years ago now?
Want me to move it to the next one?
Yeah, we'll go to the next image.
Okay, here we
you
go.
Are. So this is
Oh god, that's the worst way of showing this. As well.
So for the article there, you may have seen that they used emojis. He did not. The chap
that looks like someone stained the map.
Yeah, he made a density map.
Oh my god. So avoid that place in particular, where I can't even see what that is because there's a mountain of feces obscuring it on the map.
The old Twitter headquarters, presumably. I don't know.
Just throwing it out the windows.
She writes, fans of happy endings should know that Wong did in fact win the grand prize. So this is Office Week Hack Week. So there we are. It wasn't the end of the
don't need to hear about poop and happy endings in the same sentence.
That's grim.
Yeah.
Anyway, but
very German.
Just because you point out that the city might have been brown washed, it doesn't mean anyone's going to do anything about it. Obviously, because
no, it's brown, but it's not been washed.
It's well, people are washing things in it. We'll get to that later. But we'll get to 2019 because, of course, 5 years later, people are still writing about it, being like, "Hey,
it's getting worse."
It's still happening. 130,000 cases since 2008 there.
Right.
This person.
In the last segment, you gave an anecdote. Now I'm going to give an anecdote. I've never been to San Francisco, but I have spent a lot of time in Manchester. And Manchester is the sort of place where you get lots of homeless people around, and you walk past an abandoned phone booth and there'll be a guy smoking a crack pipe in there.
What else will be in the phone booth, huh?
And no, actually, even in Manchester, for as degraded as parts of it can be, I've only ever encountered a human poo on the floor once.
That's actually incredible.
I know, right? I lived there for almost a year, and I've spent a lot of time there. But it's only when I was hanging out with some friends, and we were by the canal, and we went down and stood next to the water, and we turned around, and in a crevice underneath a bridge by Deansgate, there was a hobo tent, and by the hobo tent, there was presumably a little present that he'd left for anybody who wanted to go near his tent. And that's the only time I've ever experienced that, and that's in Manchester.
Well, I mean, I've seen it in London where, of course, tourists go there and want to, oh, mum, look, there's the red telephone box. There's that thing. Okay, well, they open it up and then like, oh
no. Our standards have really slipped.
Yeah, you take the picture, if you are a tourist coming to London, outside the telephone box. You do not go into such a box at any point if you value your life. Anyway, but it's not the only one. 1 year later, a few years later, so that was 2019, this one here. In 2022, there's this. Why is there so much poop in San Francisco? Which is a funny article. I mean, I love how he writes in all caps, I know there are people that associate dry turds on the road as an aspect of urban living. I'm here to tell you it's not.
You can live in a city and use the toilet. Why is this so difficult for some people?
And you might think to yourself, okay, well, maybe in that question of the chap in Manchester, where he's, I don't know, the tent's near the woods, I'm hoping, or some grass at least. But maybe it's not. Maybe it's just, they started charging 30 pence to use the bathrooms now. And of course, why do you think we made the bathrooms free in the first place, you fucking idiots in the council? It's because of this.
Yep.
So maybe it's that.
People like to think that we're so much more advanced than we were back in the Middle Ages when people would just throw their poo out the window. But at least in there, you'd probably have the courtesy of them shouting before they do it. Just get out of the way. Ugh. In this, there's just there.
Like, to be fair, I haven't yet seen homeless people throwing their turds from buckets into strangers' faces, but San Francisco is there for us.
I have seen a few videos from San Francisco pretty similar.
Anyway, here's this. This is from 2013, as you can see here.
2023.
Sorry, 2023. San Francisco keeps responding to calls about poop on this street. And I'm, it's been years at this point since the quirky fun map that Mr. Wong made.
This is just
the reality.
This is what happens when you turn your entire city into an open-air drug den.
Well, it does. I mean, as I mentioned about the idea that maybe they haven't got free toilets they do in San Francisco. We'll get to that in a minute. It's ridiculous
they just haven't learned. Well, they're too high to use them, I'd assume.
It seems to be worse than that.
Even worse?
Yeah.
God.
San Francisco keeps all manner of data about its streets, including where the city gets most of its poop calls. Of course it does. In 2022, an address in the Bayview had the ignominious distinction of being the crappiest in the city. And it led that honor in 2023 again, with 311 hotline statistics showing that, people calling in to the hotline saying, I found another one. So there you are.
It's like women from that episode of South Park. It's a eek-a-poop.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's fair enough response. Since January 2022, the address 1615 Oakdale Avenue has been the subject of no fewer than 174 calls to the 311 reporting animal or human waste line, according to a tally collected by the city.
It's the same place.
Yeah.
Over and over and over again. I assume that this is one of those roads where you get the homeless encampments.
Well, this particular winner of the award is actually a funny, happy ending, instead of finding out that it's full of that.
All right.
So they say, in fact, most of them are related to an electrical box that has been rusting. And unfortunately, just happens to look like someone's been rubbing something against it. The complaints appear to have been made by the same person over and over again, according to the Department of Public Works. Most of the requests, which are sent by text message, include an identical image of the same signal box with the rust on it. I'll be honest, that's a pretty funny prank. It's just there's some guy who either walks by it or walked by it once and just keeps sending the same text message.
Sort this out.
Every single day. Where he's, I don't know, maybe he really feels proud to try and get that box derusted. Or maybe he's just having a laugh, which, okay, whatever. But unfortunately, I can't say that the rest in the system are all prank calls.
The only message that I'm getting from this is that in San Francisco, if you want anything to be done about anything, you tell them there's poop there.
It's the only thing that works. So they say here, the 301 response notes, reviewed by the Standard, repeatedly stated that no human waste was ever found at that site, and the signal box was already been steam cleaned multiple times. So they just keep steam cleaning the same place. They also note in the report a human being had to write down in a human being report many a time that the area, quote, smelled good.
As opposed to the rest of San Francisco, which presumably smells like crap.
So in Kabul, open sewers. So you did smell human waste on a daily basis walking around. San Francisco lives in that same reality. So much so that government bureaucrats now have a little box when they go out to clean up.
Sniff test.
Sniff test for the local area. So, I'm sorry, for God's sakes, I mean, this is the normal for some places in the United States, is it? I mean, global superpower, money for everything. They can't even just go to the bathroom. The Standard visits the location on a recent Tuesday morning found a relatively clean sidewalk with no excrement. Relatively clean, so it's still covered in something.
It's got some pee there, but no poo.
Yeah, I wonder if we can keep this GIF here because it's rather funny. Just as they write, like, there's no excrement. Break out the champagne, boys. Another success. The street is not without real cleanliness problems, however. Nearly every day, workers for a nearby restaurant power wash an alcove by the eatery that is often used as a toilet. Has to be scrubbed down, public work officials said. So right next to that victory of every day turning up and finding no poop, there is actually, right next to it, a little entrance to a store, which every day is filled with poop. So
just imagining them, they find that one little bit, walk a few paces. Oh.
Yeah, also, I think the sniff test, maybe the local workers, their noses are so polluted at this point that they can't tell the difference because
they're so finely tuned, they can sniff.
There is no poop.
Yeah.
Behind me, however, quote, the fact that there is a staffed public toilet available close by suggests the issue might be more complex regarding the person or persons using the area as a toilet.
Because they're all on drugs,
said the local government bureaucrat, Rachel. I don't think Rachel lives in the real world to deal with it's just a bit more complex, Harry.
Oh, okay, that's it. That's it. The fact that you've got homeless encampments of everybody taking drugs and the city actually encourages this by sending out clean needle kits and such.
Just they don't know how to go.
Nothing to do with it.
So we just need to buy them diapers.
I mean, okay,
now I've said that, I know that will be a government program in San Francisco in 10 years.
That will be, because they don't want people to stop being on drugs, and they don't want people to stop hurting themselves by taking heroin, but they do want the streets to be slightly cleaner.
They'll just see dirty nappies, adult size, all over the city instead.
No, that's even worse, right? Because they can float if they're picked up in wind currents.
Oh no!
That's actually worse.
Yeah, so San Francisco is going to be worse than Kabul within a few years.
So, right, Kabul, after the Taliban took over, they basically took all the drug addicts and forced them to go cold turkey, right?
Yeah.
So Kabul has a human waste problem, but not a drug problem. San Francisco has a human waste problem and a big drug problem.
They are doing worse.
Yeah.
They have more than them. So, in fact, the Public Works runs a public bathroom known as the Pit Stop right next to the intersection. A man who runs it, who would not give his name, except say his first name, which was Justin, for some reason. I think he doesn't want to be associated with his job, which is fair enough.
Yeah, fair.
He said that feces issues, like social justice issues or economic issues, feces issues.
What we need is fecal justice.
He said fecal issues in the area are not as intense as other parts of the city. Great. According to the data, some of San Francisco's most excrement-filled streets are in the Tenderloin and Somar neighborhoods. The Tenderloin, in particular, has publicly struggled to help its growing unhoused population.
Unhoused, I love that term.
To address their filthy streets. I mean, I just love the leftist American language there. The unhoused population address the filth.
The homeless drug addicts.
Essing in the street.
Yep.
That's the reality. Quote, "It's terrible. This street is covered," said Joe Souza, a Tenderloin resident who has lived in Larkin Street for a year. "There's poop everywhere. You always see it along the wall and in front of the garbage there." The 4-block zone in Tenderloin between Larkin and Taylor Streets recorded dozens of fecal-related calls and cleaning requests in the last 5 months, but residents say the problem is actually much larger than the number of calls, because, of course, they don't make calls for every single one. So take the data and double it, and that's the extra. So remember that map from earlier?
Oh, yeah.
Double it.
Well, because, I mean, if you find 5 turds on the floor, you're only going to make the one call. You're not going to report them each individually, are you? You make the one call.
But you might as well wake up every morning and just be like, yeah, it's me again. I've not been down yet. I'm still getting changed.
But I know.
But could you just go the whole street? Yeah. He says, the chap here, "We clean up 5 of those feces a week," said Bozik Oziluk, a manager for a Halal Dagakhan restaurant. He's of Uzbek origin, so
all right.
He lives on the corner of Larkin and Sutter Streets. He says the government should really punish people for doing this with a fine. We need to keep the city clean. I don't think he's solved who's doing it either. Like they're going to pay a fine. The city has, I mean, to be honest, frankly, if someone is that prolific in essing in the street, just lock them up. You deserve prison.
You are
or a sane asylum.
Surely there's some public nuisance law that you
can we make poop prisons?
What, out of poop?
We'll make some poop camps. we'll keep the poopers. You think I'm joking? That would solve it.
I know, but I feel like
you're going to be sent to poop camp.
You would
you learn to poop.
You would have the UN saying that it was some kind of contravention of human rights. They'd jump in and say, under international
Biden's
law...
kids in cages. Why is he keeping kids in cages? I don't want to talk about it. It's because their parents are grown adults. Poopers. Anyway, the city has responded to cleanliness concerns in Tenderloin by establishing new cleaning programs and erecting 7 pit stops, is what they call them. Those are public bathrooms with a needles program attached. For some reason. Who knows why.
So with a needle bin, I see in your notes here, but presumably they can pick up some nice clean needles as well while they're there.
I just love the idea that the pit stops are all being erected there because they think that the drug adult losers are just unsure. They're like, well, it's down the road, so I'm just gonna.
Oh, they never taught me. My parents never showed me how.
It's like they aren't taking notice of the toilets. They're just, okay. They say so far in 2023, the city has received 1,322 calls to remove feces in Tenderloin. Now, I did the numbers for when this article was published. That's more than 10 a day on the same street.
What can you do but laugh? What can you do but laugh? San Francisco, you are a joke city. You have so many problems. People are killing themselves taking drugs on the street. But the main sign that anything is wrong is that your streets are literally covered in human feces.
Could you imagine? I mean, I can see why in the previous segment everyone is leaving San Francisco. Yeah. Good on you. But if you dare vote for the people that caused this situation, you are honestly worse than Satan, because you have gone to innocent people who have built a functioning society and gone, how do I tear this down and fill it with feces? So,
literally, how do I turn this society to
Imagine turning up to Florida and be like, not enough feces in the streets. I miss it. I'm voting blue no matter who.
We need to keep a lookout for other states that these people are moving to see if this starts cropping up elsewhere.
We're going to have to start getting armbands for people from San Francisco and be like, look, sorry, we got to keep an eye on you.
Yep.
Because we've seen what's happened. Anyway, the best part is that this article, is funny as it is, well, I mean, tragic for anyone who lives there, but I don't, so sniff it. Instead, there's a website they have in which they list them all. There should be another link in here, John, if you can load it up, which is a San Francisco city infrastructure link.
This is actually a San Francisco government website.
Yes. In which they have decided to tell everyone, Oh, there it is. My apologies. My apologies.
Yep.
And where you can find it. So here we can see we've got the date in which the cases have been opened. So this is yesterday. So everything's 24 hours behind because they have to update it at the end of the night. So we can see here. I happened to check this when I was looking at this, and it was quite a few. So I'm assuming it's the same. So we can see here. Oh, we got some street walking and whatnot. But there was loads on the day I looked at it, where it was just.
I just keep scrolling down. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of information on here.
City garbage, but there we are. Sign repair. Oh, it's not coming up now. That's annoying. Have they removed it?
Just keep scrolling. Keep scrolling.
Oh, because it literally was just like filled with them. And I was like, okay, many such cases.
Passing enforcement. Just keep going. Come on.
They've got rid of it. Oh, that's annoying. It was there. You'll have to take my word. But either way.
Wait, find in this data set. John, just click in find in this data set and just put public defecation.
Just the word shh instead.
Public. Yep. Go on.
Can't remember the wording they used. Well, anyway, whatever. You have to check out in your own time. But as mentioned with the previous data, that place had 10 a day, according to the data set. So that's
that's
not fun.
You know, in the UK, you check the weather when you wake up. You check the bus routes. Check any traffic issues. And then in San Francisco, is there going to be any
forecast?
Is there going to be any poop in my walk this morning?
They've even made like a poop tile. You can check the level of poop.
It's quite interesting.
Bing, bing, bong. Bing, bing, bong, 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 bong.
Some of the other maps showed that it was a lot throughout the entire city, but here it really does show that it's very much concentrated in a few areas, which I can only assume are the places where.
But you could always.
Well, yeah.
There's a light shower.
Those looking to avoid poo on their journey today
should head to Main Post, in which there have only been 2. Yeah, there we are. So enjoy that. Anyway, we'll end this off with the fact that John led me in on something. As he was literally preparing the thumbnail for this, he told me, Callum, have you seen this? San Francisco homeless crisis is so bad, people appear to be using it as graffiti. So I don't want to look at that, so I'm not going. Although that does actually bring back, we were looking at that earlier, and it did say a lot of them were street and sidewalk cleaning. Oh, that's what it's used. There we are. So there we go.
Yeah, that's what it'll be.
Maybe graffiti also includes.
It doesn't specify what the graffiti, if it's paint.
So if we do, I suppose we'll do street and sidewalk cleaning then instead.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of it.
Do that. Let's do a copy there. Let's have some fun. This is how the segments are made in real time. There we are. If you can hit the enter button for me, there we are.
That's a lot.
Ooh.
That's a lot. Just in the one day.
Case closed. Jesus Christ. So it is all in the one day. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
There's no point.
That's about, what was it, 20 yesterday?
Yep.
The day before.
Oh, it just keeps going. Oh, good God. What the hell?
That's a lot.
Oh, Jesus.
And the day before that.
We've not even reached the day before.
Oh, God, we haven't.
This just goes all the way back still.
Oh, wow, that's 2 days.
Yeah, that's 2 days.
And that's one day not filled properly. Oh, God, is there another?
That's 2 days of poo.
Let's go to the next.
Oh, my God.
Second sheet here. There's two sheets. There's filled 3 sheets.
There's 3 sheets of sheets.
4 sheets of shit.
Oh my God.
Are we for stop 5? Are we at 5? Do you want to take your bets now in the chat about when I'm going to stop finding?
It's doing
piles
it on a
minute
by minute basis.
God, that's 6. Are we up 6 now? 7. 7, folks.
All right. Okay.
No. 8. That's all.
Oh no, we're still not there.
Oh God.
We're only just got into the AM.
9 piles.
So it seems around the mid-afternoon is when people really started to speed up.
Jesus Christ, boys.
Okay, and in the morning, people needed to, get their morning movements out.
I mean, that makes sense. I mean, first thing in the morning, last thing at night, maybe. So, I've lost count. We're at 11, aren't we? 12?
I don't even know.
14? 15? 15.
Right.
Johnson has 15.
John's keeping count.
I'm not moving on until we get to the end. There we
go. There we go.
16 pages per day is what you will find of street walk cleaning. And as they listed here, oh yes, just garbage. I swear. All right,
a bulky item. Oh, good. Oh dear.
But anyway, that's a lot of cleaning to be doing, and as noted, it's quite a bit. I can't scroll back out on that. I think probably without let's press.
Go on, there you go. Press the button.
But if you want to live in San Francisco,
don't.
What's wrong with you?
Just don't.
Instead, check out the data, I suppose. And we'll end this off with, as you mentioned, where is one organization that may be able to save the United States. The UN is going to have to come. For people who don't know, the UN made this a while back. This is the Poo to the Loo campaign for India.
I honestly couldn't believe this when you told me about this. I thought this was something. I thought you were joking, but no, this is real.
This is an Indian language public service announcement that is several minutes long and highly animated, in which they try to convince.
This is all of the poos being sucked into the San Francisco poo magnet.
They try and convince the Indian population that maybe you should start using the toilet. Whole other conversation to be had. But frankly, if we could make an American dubbed version, perhaps, so just a little region there instead, you can make this your. Why would you make this your phone tune? That's awful. All right, whatever. But there's anyway, just end it there. Average San Franciscan on his way to work. If you appreciated that segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content that's on the site, such as this symposium episode, Aristotle's Nicomachean Ethics Part 1. If you'd like to find out what else is being put out, you can follow on Getter at lotuseaters_com on Getter. Thank you and goodbye.